It started with a feeling, something primal, something buried beneath the routines of marriage, but impossible to ignore. A shift in tone, a hesitation in her touch, the way her smile no longer quite reached her eyes when she looked at me. At first, I told myself I was imagining it. After all, Kate and I had been together for 8 years, married for 5. We weren't newlyweds anymore. Things naturally changed over time. That's what I told myself when she came home late more often, when she suddenly cared more about her appearance than she had in years, when she started keeping her phone face down on the table. I wasn't a jealous man, or maybe I had just never had a reason to be, until that night. It was just past midnight when I heard her whispering in the kitchen. I had been half asleep, but something in her voice yanked me into full awareness. Fear, desperation, my name. I slipped out of bed quietly, heart pounding, and crept to the doorway. "I'm scared. He's my husband," she whispered harshly into the phone. "I don't want to go to jail. Just put it in his coffee and we'll finally be together." Everything inside me froze. My breath stopped in my throat. My body turned to stone. It took a second, maybe longer, for my mind to process what I'd just heard. I swallowed hard, pressing myself against the wall. My wife, my Kate, talking to someone about poisoning me, about not wanting to go to jail. My legs felt unsteady, like I might collapse right there, but I forced myself to stay still, to listen. "Tomorrow morning," she said, voice shaking but determined. "Just come over like normal and I'll do it then." A pause, then softer. "I love you too." The air in my lungs turned to ice. My best friend Eric was coming over for coffee tomorrow. It hit me like a gut punch. It was him, the person on the other end of the line, the man my wife had been sleeping with, the man who had just agreed to kill me. I stood there, numb, my mind a storm of rage, betrayal, and something darker, something I hadn't felt before. It was like the world had tilted on its axis, revealing a reality I had been too blind to see. My wife wasn't just cheating on me, she wanted me dead. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think straight. But then something shifted inside me. A thought crept in, slow and insidious. She wanted me dead. They both did. And I had until morning to decide what to do about it. Kate and I met in college. It wasn't one of those whirlwind romances people write about. It was slow, steady, the kind of love that felt inevitable. She was studying psychology, I was deep into engineering. We met at a party neither of us wanted to be at, bonded over the mutual suffering of forced socializing, and somehow that conversation turned into late-night study sessions, long drives with no destination, and a love that felt unshakable. She wasn't perfect, but she was mine, or so I thought. We got married 5 years later, bought a small house in the suburbs. I worked my way up as an electrical engineer, providing us a comfortable life. I was never the flashy romantic type, but I was reliable. I worked hard, never strayed, and always put my family first. That's the kind of man I was. We had a son, Ethan, 4 years old now, with his mother's eyes and my stubbornness. I adored that kid. I worked late nights, long shifts, did everything to make sure he and Kate had everything they needed. And yet, I thought back to the little things I had ignored. The nights Kate turned away from me in bed, the way she always seemed irritated no matter what I did. How she started hanging out with friends more often but never had pictures to show. How she used to say she was lucky to have me, but lately it felt like she was just tolerating me. And Eric? He was supposed to be my best friend. We had known each other since high school. He was the charming one, the guy everyone liked, effortlessly social, good-looking, always quick with a joke. But deep down, I had always felt like I was the one who kept him together. He bounced from job to job, from woman to woman, always leaning on me when he messed up. And I always helped him, because that's what friends do. And now? Now he was sleeping with my wife, plotting to kill me. The injustice of it all burned inside me like a wildfire. I was the one who worked late to pay the bills. I was the one who stayed faithful. I was the one who took care of our son while Kate found herself. I was the one who helped Eric every time he fell on his face, and they were the ones betraying me. I sat in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, rage coiling inside me like a living thing. I should have been terrified, but I wasn't. I was angry, beyond angry. I wasn't going to die tomorrow, but someone else might. Morning came. The smell of coffee filled the house. Kate moved around the kitchen, her movements careful, too careful. I sat at the table watching her, waiting. A knock at the door. Eric walked in like he owned the place, flashing that easy smile. "Morning, man." I clenched my fists under the table. This lying piece of street. Kate turned, hiding a smirk. "Coffee's almost ready." My stomach twisted. I imagined her hand slipping something into the cup, something meant to end me. She placed the mug in front of me, her fingers lingering on the handle. "Here you go, babe." Eric sat across from me, picking up his own cup. My mind raced. I had to act, now. So I did the only thing that made sense. I grabbed my cup, and before Kate could react, I swapped it with Eric's. For the first time in all these years, I saw real fear in her eyes. Eric lifted the cup, grinning. "Two old friends, huh?" And then he took a sip. The moment Eric took that sip, time seemed to slow. Kate's face drained of color. Her hand shot out, hesitated, then clenched into a fist on the counter. Panic, not just fear, pure undiluted terror. Eric swallowed, smacked his lips. "Dan, that's good coffee." He chuckled, setting the cup down. "You always make the best, Kate." But she wasn't laughing. Her eyes darted between him and me. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. She didn't know what to do, because I wasn't supposed to be the one sitting here, calm. Eric was. I leaned back in my chair, feeling the weight of the moment settle. "You okay, babe?" I asked, my voice even. Her lip trembled. Eric frowned, sensing the shift in the air. "Everything good?" Kate snapped out of it, forcing a smile. Yeah, I forgot I left something in the oven. Be right back." She turned, her movements stiff, and rushed out of the kitchen. I watched her go, listened to her hurried footsteps down the hall. I knew exactly where she was going, to the bathroom, to make herself throw up, to get rid of whatever guilt or evidence was still in her, because she knew the truth. I had just fed Eric his own F-King poison. While Eric kept sipping, oblivious, I took a deep breath and let my mind wander back to the past, to the reasons why. Because I needed to understand, why would Kate, the woman I loved, do this to me? It wasn't just the cheating. I could have guessed that, could have swallowed the knife to my pride and moved on. But murder? That was different. That was personal. It wasn't for money. I had made sure she was comfortable, no debts, no struggles. If she wanted a divorce, she could have had half of everything and still walked away clean. So why? The answer hit me with an awful clarity. Because she hated me. Not in a loud, screaming, throwing plates kind of way. No, this was something deeper. A quiet, seething resentment that had been growing for years, and I had been blind to it. The signs were there. The way she rolled her eyes when I talked about work, how she downplayed everything I did for Ethan, how she started dressing up more for her girls' nights while I sat at home, exhausted. And Eric? He was the man I never could be. Not in the traditional sense. I was the one with the career, the stability. But Eric? He was reckless, fun-unpredictable. And Kate had always craved chaos. She wanted the thrill of sneaking around, of getting away with it. And I was just the obstacle in her way, a nuisance to be removed. And yet, she was the one running scared now. Eric groaned, rubbing his stomach. Ugh, might have had too much to drink last night. He chuckled, unaware of the storm brewing around him. "Man, I feel kinda off." I smiled. "Yeah, maybe it's the coffee." Kate bolted back into the kitchen, eyes darting to Eric's cup, still half full. She looked at me, pleading, silently begging me to stop him from drinking more. I just stared at her, letting it sink in. She tried to keep her voice steady. "Babe, can you grab me some water? My stomach's a little off this morning." I didn't move. Eric groaned again, this time louder. He pressed a hand to his stomach, blinking rapidly. Sweat beating on his forehead. Kate took a step forward. Eric, maybe you should. He winced. Deanne, He clutched his stomach, doubled over. FK, what? And then he collapsed. Hard. Kate screamed. I just sat there, watching, waiting. She had made her choice. Now she had to live with it. Eric hit the floor like a sack of bricks, his body convulsing, a guttural noise escaping his throat. His limbs twitched, jerking violently. His eyes rolled back. Kate screeched, dropping to her knees beside him, hands shaking as she grabbed his face. Eric, baby, wake up! Oh God, oh my God! I didn't move. She turned to me, wild-eyed, desperate. Call 911, call them! I tilted my head. Why? Her mouth opened, closed. Her brain struggled to catch up. She knew why. This was supposed to be me. Eric gasped, foam bubbling at the corners of his lips. His fingers clawed weakly at the hardwood floor, his body shuddering. I watched as realization dawned on Kate's face. There was nothing she could do. She had already sealed his fate. She had poisoned the wrong man, and I let her. Do something! She shrieked. I finally stood, slow and deliberate, walking over to them. I think you did enough, sweetheart. Her breathing was ragged. She shook her head violently, gripping my shirt. You don't understand. He wasn't supposed to. I grabbed her wrist, hard. She yelped. You mean I was supposed to? I hissed. Her face twisted with something raw, ugly, something I had never seen before. Guilt. Real, suffocating guilt. But it wasn't enough. Not even close. Eric gurgled. The jerking slowed. His body was shutting down. His eyes, unfocused, landed on me. I knelt beside him, lowering my voice to a whisper only he could hear. That was my coffee, wasn't it? He trembled. I smiled. Kate sobbed beside me. Please, please, baby, I can explain, I snapped. All the months, years of lies. The humiliation, the betrayal, the sleepless nights wondering what I had done wrong while she was out letting him touch her. My fingers wrapped around her throat. Her eyes went wide, a strangled gasp escaping her lips. I squeezed, feeling her pulse hammer beneath my palm. How does it feel? I growled. She clawed at my hands, kicking, choking. Please, she rasped. Eric let out one last pitiful breath. Then he went still. Kate sobbed harder, the reality crashing into her. Oh my God! Oh my God, no! I let her go, shoving her back. She coughed violently, hands around her bruised throat, staring at Eric's body in horror. I wiped my hands on my jeans and stood, calm, steady, in control. Kate's tear-streaked face snapped up to me. We have to do something. We have to call the police. I laughed, a deep, low chuckle that made her flinch. You want me to call the cops? Sure, honey. Let's tell them everything, yeah? Let's tell them about the affair, about the poison, about how your boyfriend just drank his own fucking murder weapon. She shook her head, panic gripping her features. No, it was an accident. I didn't mean for this. But you meant it for me. Her lips trembled. I was stupid. I didn't think, I grabbed her chin, forcing her to look at me. Tell me the truth, Kate. When did you decide I was better off dead? She broke, completely. It wasn't, Eric said. She hiccuped through her sobs. He told me you wouldn't give me a divorce, that you'd take Ethan from me, that you'd ruin my life if I left. My blood ran cold. Ethan. I had barely thought about him through all of this, but now the reality slammed into me like a freight train. She wasn't just planning to kill me. She was planning to erase me, to take my son, my home, my entire life, and build a new one with Eric over my effing grave. I leaned in, my voice barely above a whisper. You were never going to let me see my son again, were you? Her silence was my answer. Something inside me snapped. The fury, the years of devotion I had wasted on this woman, it all boiled into something dark. I stood pacing, running a hand through my hair. Okay, fine. You wanted Eric? Here he is. I gestured to the lifeless body on my floor. Enjoy him. She sobbed harder. Please, we can fix this. We can. No, you can fix this. I grabbed my keys. Because when the cops come, you're going to be the only one here. Her head snapped up. What? I smiled, heading for the door. You set this up, sweetheart. You bought the poison, you brewed the coffee, you served it. You're the one they'll blame. Her face twisted in horror. No, no, you can't do this. I opened the door, looking back one last time. You already did it to yourself. And then I walked out. I didn't look back. Kate's wailing followed me out the door, her voice cracking with desperation, but it didn't matter. She could beg, scream, cry all she wanted. This was the bed she made, and now she could rot in it. I got in my car, gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. My pulse was hammering, adrenaline still surging through me like a live wire. I wasn't safe yet, not completely. I had to think, had to move, had to make sure that when the dust settled, I was the one left standing. I started the engine and drove, not home, not to a friend's, but straight to the police station, because I wasn't going to run, I was going to win. Inside, the station was quiet. A bored-looking officer sat behind the front desk, barely glancing up as I walked in. I took a deep breath, straightened my posture, and put on my best terrified, broken husband face. Sir? The officer asked. I let my voice shake. I need help. I think my wife's having an affair. I followed her texts, and I just found out she's been planning something horrible. I swallowed hard, forcing tears to well up in my eyes. I think she tried to poison me. That got his attention. His chair squeaked as he sat up. What do you mean, sir? I ran a shaky hand through my hair, my body trembling just enough to sell it. She was acting weird all morning. She made coffee for me and my best friend Eric, but before I could drink mine, he took a sip first, and then he just collapsed. I looked him dead in the eye. I think my wife killed him. The words hit like a bomb. The officer's expression turned sharp. Where is she now? I sniffed, wiping my nose like a man barely holding it together. At home. I freaked out. I didn't know what to do. I just ran here. The officer stood, motioning for another cop. Stay here, sir. We're going to send units to your house immediately. I nodded, letting my hands shake. Please just make sure my son is safe. It was a masterful performance, and I wasn't even lying. They arrested Kate within the hour. When the police arrived, they found her covered in Eric's blood, still sobbing over his corpse. The half-empty coffee cups were right there on the table, the poisoned drink in his system. She tried to tell them it was an accident, tried to say it was meant for me, that I had switched the cups, that I set her up. But there was no proof. The only thing they saw was a dead man and a guilty woman. And when they asked me, I played my role perfectly. The devastated husband, the betrayed father, the man who never saw it coming. I don't understand, I had said, eyes red, voice cracking. Why would she do this? I knew exactly why, but now so did she. The trial was quick. With the evidence stacked against her, with my testimony about her erratic behavior and the recordings the police found on her phone, it was over before it began. Kate was sentenced to 25 to life. I sat in the courtroom watching as she broke down, watching as she finally realized just how badly she had lost. She looked at me, eyes filled with something she had never felt before, fear. I leaned in just enough so she could hear me. Was it worth it? I whispered. Her lips parted, but no words came out, and then they dragged her away. A year later, my life was better than ever. I had full custody of Ethan. The house was mine. Kate was just a ghost, rotting in a prison cell where she belonged. And Eric? Well, he got exactly what he deserved. Justice was never going to come for them, not on its own. So I made it happen, and I never lost a single night's sleep over it.